Hello, beautiful Greatest You community. Welcome to Talk Tuesday. This Tuesday, life threw us a little bit of a curveball and wouldn't let us log into the Zoom the way we wanted to. And so I apologize for anyone who showed up to the teaching live and wasn't able to get into the Zoom room. But we decided to go ahead and create this video for you to elaborate a little bit on the topic of today, which is, do you really believe that you are worthy of love? Mia is traveling across the country today, so she is going to be watching this as well. And you can definitely remember that you're always welcome to follow up with us on the information that we provide for you on Talk Tuesday. We want to hear from you about how you're integrating it, what resonated with you. The whole purpose of this is for us to support you. So make sure you're reaching out after you have a chance to go through this information, think about it, and just start to integrate it into your life. So when we ask the question, do you believe that you're worthy of love? What does it look like when we don't know our worth and we don't know that we're truly worthy of love? Sometimes it can look like, we don't create those relationships with others. There's just, something about we hold ourselves back from them. And sometimes we create relationships, but they're not positive connections. They are, maybe we draw in the wrong kind of people. So maybe, we have connections, but they really don't serve us. Or maybe we draw in connection and we don't feel good in it. We can't feel truly secure. And all of those things, not being able to create a connection with others, drawing in the wrong kinds of people, or not feeling good or secure in your relationships, all of these, at least to some degree, relate to whether or not you think you're truly worthy of love. Now, some people will say, yeah, I'm not really sure if I do believe that or not. And other people will say, I think so. Yeah, I'm worthy of love, but they're not really claiming that worth and really acting from a place of their worth. And so it's a spectrum. And you can be, somewhere along the spectrum. And I think it's safe to say that most of us, if not all of us, could claim a little bit more of our worth, realize a little bit deeper level how truly worthy we are of everything, but especially of love. And when we don't act like we're worthy, we tend to do things like overgive. We don't tend to our needs, whether that looks like not even really asking what they are, being out of touch with what our needs are, or not putting the things into place that need to happen so that we can get those needs met, whether that's asking for them, standing up for them ourselves, meeting them ourselves. And the last thing, as I mentioned before, is we often don't feel secure in our relationships if we don't really have that sense of being worthy of love. So how do we really claim and recognize our worthiness for love? There's a big difference between intellectually knowing it to being able to say, yes, of course I'm worthy of love, right? And really, really just owning it and claiming it and knowing it from a deeper level. So, yesterday in the Greatest You classroom, we were talking a bit about, our stories and understanding where our stories of unworthiness have come from. And I think it's very important for us to explore this. And sometimes the story is very obvious, right? I was abused sexually, physically, emotionally as a child. And when that happens, of course, we're going to question our own worthiness, right? But it can be much, much more subtle than that. And it doesn't have to be something truly traumatic that happened to us to make us question our worth. So I want to invite you to explore your story a little bit and explore it in a way that Instead of looking at it from the standpoint of, oh gosh, I had it pretty well, I didn't have, these kinds of abuses, or at least I, had a roof over my head, and my needs provided for, right? Really just open yourself up and ask the question, was I really attuned to? Was I really, made to feel cherished and precious? What were some of those events and those experiences in my life where I didn't feel that way? And this is not being a victim. This is not blaming other people. This is you just really realizing that as children, we all face those times where the story was, we created the story that we weren't worthy because of something that was happening to us. And I'll just mention, because I think it's very important to understand, is that children will almost always decide that they're at fault when they aren't treated appropriately, when their needs aren't met, that it's their fault. And the reason why we do this as children, it makes perfect sense, is because if we can take that blame and put it on ourselves, right, instead of on our caregivers, then there's hope. If we say our caregiver just isn't able to meet our needs, they're just not able to give us the love that we so desire, that is a hopeless, scary, very, very threatening place to be. So it makes a lot more sense for us to adopt the belief that there's something wrong with us, because then maybe we can fix it. And if we fix it about ourselves, then maybe we can get our needs met. So it's very, very common. I would say every child is going to do this, as opposed to having that maturity and understanding to say, oh, maybe this person is limited and not able to give me the love that I need and want. So when you're exploring your story of unworthiness, where do you think that some of that could have come from? You don't have to get it exactly right. You don't have to worry about, am I seeing all the facts correctly here? Just exploring that and letting whatever's there come up for you, and for you to be aware of it. But what were some of the experiences that maybe contributed to a feeling of not being worthy of love? And then once we have that awareness, we can really start to create a different atmosphere, a different life for us, right? We want to first provide worthiness for ourselves. That's where it is foundationally, is with ourselves, right? The way we treat ourselves. So I have three recommendations for you. Three things where you can really sink your teeth into this topic. And the first thing is your self-talk. If you are, letting yourself talk to yourself in a way that is highly critical, judgmental, uncaring, uncompassionate, then the worthiness, right? You're not going to feel worthy. It's going to be the same thing that you've been experiencing. There's something wrong with me, and until I fix it, I'm not worthy. So really paying attention, and maybe even, taking some time with your journal to think about, what are some of the things that I say to myself. It may not be obvious because we've normalized to so much of our day-to-day conversation. So, watch for it throughout the day, and it could be very, very subtle. It could be something you don't necessarily dwell on, but you have a flash of oh gosh, that I didn't do that well. Or somebody's going to see that, or oh, I don't look nice today, or is that a new wrinkle on my forehead, or whatever it is that we say. Really start to notice those things. And of course, we want to not only notice negative, critical thing talking to ourselves, but we also want to bring in really positive and affirming and loving language with ourselves. So as you're thinking about what is some of the critical conversation that I have with myself, what are some of the things that I would have loved to hear, either as a kid, or even today, if I knew with 1,000% certainty that I was worthy of love and grace, and what would I say to myself? How would that talk look differently? And then actually speak those words to yourself, having times during the day, or at least a time in the morning, when you're just kind of meeting the day, setting the stage and setting some intentions. What are some of the words that you want to use with yourself? Remembering your beauty and your worth and just the glorious being that you are. The second thing I'll invite yourself to do is spend some time with yourself. You may say, well, yeah, I spend 24 hours a day every single day with myself, right? But we don't. We don't. Sometimes we spend much more time with other people than we do with ourselves. And what I mean by that is if we're not in tune with our experience, if we're just going through the motions and, we're taking care of other people's needs, we're getting things done, whatever it is, and we're kind of cut off from our own internal world, our own experience of things, then we're actually not spending time with ourselves, and that is not validating, right? If someone is worthy, we spend time with them. So think about some of the places that you can spend time with yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to look like anything, right? Some people say, well, I got a massage or I took myself for a meal, whatever. And those are wonderful. Those things can be spending time with yourself, but the really important element is the intention behind it, right? This isn't, I go for a massage so I can check something off on my self care list. It's so that I can be very present and attuned to my needs and to something that is enjoyable to me. And I'm actually inside that experience, spending time with myself. And I also think it means making time for dialogue with yourself, making time for hearing from you, having those beautiful conversations where you ask, how are you? How are you feeling? And so spending time with yourself is a really important way to prove that you're worthy, because it takes so much more than just the affirmation, I believe I'm worthy, right? If someone said that to you, right, they showed up and they wanted a relationship with you and they say, oh, I believe you're worthy, but they were never around for you. They never said nice things to you. They never, cared about your needs and just appreciated the things that brought you joy in life, right? You probably wouldn't believe it. And so it doesn't do much good for us either to say to ourselves, oh, yeah, I'm worthy. Of course I'm worthy, but not actually show up for ourselves. So there's many, many, many ways that you can do this. And I'm offering you these three today. Spending time with yourself, watching yourself talk, making sure that you're not only kind of reeling in that critical talk, but you're also giving yourself lots of affirming, beautiful, loving language as well. And the third thing that I'm gonna invite you to do relates back to the story that you are going to look at and ask, where was it in my life where those stories of unworthiness were first born? And I'm going to invite you to go back into those events in kind of a meditative way. Really just imagine that you're back in that situation. You get on the school bus and there's children, there are bullies, and they're telling you, that your hair looks funny or whatever it is. And you go back to that story, and you go back to that situation, and you bring your current self, your beautiful adult self that has the ability to go in and provide that younger version of you what they needed in that moment so that they could hang on to their worth, so that that story of unworthiness would not have been created, because it's just an interpretation, right? The truth is that the children on the bus were probably feeling the pressure to be cooler than you, to look like they, were better than you in some way, and so that's why they were poking fun or whatever it was. But this new interpretation, right, understanding they had limitations at the time, releases you of the unworthiness. It has nothing to do with you. And this is a really powerful exercise. And of course, I'm describing it very briefly because in our Talk Tuesdays, we don't have a lot of time to go deep into these things. But in the Greatest You Academy, which is our 12 module course, that features bi-weekly coaching sessions. We go into a lot of these processes in order to help release you of stories of unworthiness, to help you really claim, not only claim, but then live into a worthy space. How would life be different if you truly knew with all of your being how worthy you are? So in the academy, we go into things like the inner child work, right? Because the inner child is most often where our stories of unworthiness first begin to develop. We go into a lot of work, a lot of really incredibly powerful work with our limiting beliefs, right? Which is our stories. The other thing that's available to you guys, and this is available for everyone, Mia and I did a parts work retreat probably last summer. It's been that long now, but we recorded that retreat and we make it available to people. Right now, because we've been talking about it so much, we decided to offer it for a special price. So the parts work retreat, you'd be able to watch that and really develop a way of working with the parts of you that maybe don't feel completely convinced of your full worthiness and beauty as a person. So there's so many opportunities for you here to really work on this issue and claim, even if you feel like things are pretty good as far as your sense of worthiness. Like I said early on, we can all always claim just a little bit more, and when we do, all of life changes, right? And it's so important to go back to, rather than just trying to create worthiness today, it's so important to go back to that foundational message, the story of when I first started to adopt that feeling of or questioning the worth. And so that is the work that we do in the academy and also in this parts work retreat that I'm referring to. This relationship with yourself, it truly is the most powerful way to claim your worth and to live from that place. And I will say that we watch all day long, we know from our personal experiences, but also with the people that we work with, as soon as we really start to understand your worth, you call in a whole different caliber of person. You feel good in your relationships. You have flow and ease because you know that you're worthy of having these relationships. You know how to get your needs met. And it's really, nothing stays the same, right? When we come and we work on something as foundational as your sense of self-worth, nothing can stay the same after that. That's when you create the meaning, the beautiful, meaningful relationships, um, and life in general, right? So another thing that I will mention is that we're offering a free masterclass on the 28th of March, so 2 weeks from today. That masterclass is going to take you through some of the most important, the three biggest blocks that keep us from creating and having those big, bold, beautiful, connected, intimate relationships that so many people are telling us that they are ready for. So the masterclass is going to explore those blocks and how to break through them so that they are no longer holding you back, and you are able to create a divine love connection. So you can sign up for that masterclass through the emails that we're going to be sending out. So watch for those and get signed up. We're really excited to bring that to you. And as always, we're here to support you. So as you take the information that I shared with you today and those three ideas for really claiming your worth, showing up for yourself in a way that proves that you're worthy, let us know how you're doing. Let us know how this resonates with you so that we can continue to support you in this way. And we really, really appreciate you taking time to watch this video, to being part of our community, because it is part of this bigger mission that we have to help people really see their greatest selves, live from that place, and really create their greatest lives, not only for themselves, but for the whole world. So thank you for being part of this incredible mission, and I can't wait to hear from you about what you discover and what you're ready to claim with respect to your gorgeous worthiness. Thanks again for watching.